What's up, guys? How's it going? So, today I'm going to talk about bad people in the car world. Um, it's an interesting industry because, they're very expensive assets that can move around. So you have potential, five, 10, $100 million cars that can be driven away, right? And so I think part of that draws bad people into the industry, right? There's a lot of money that you could steal or swindle someone out of. And so I just want to talk briefly about that. There have been some recent articles where that have come out on people that I have kind of seen or dealt with. And I stay clear of anyone that's doing illegal stuff just because it's not worth it, right? Your reputation, your name is everything in this industry. And so if you're doing bad stuff with just even one person, it's going to get out there. It's just not even worth it. It's not worth the risk. And ultimately, it catches up with you, and it's happened for a lot of people. So, there's a couple things that, I've seen recently that are pretty interesting. Not necessarily directly related to, but this was a pretty interesting one. So, as you can see up here, the this is a Denver Post. There's a Colorado attorney. His name's Scott Oliver. So if you are in the car world and you're working some sort of an allocation deal, this guy is bad news. Dude, just immediately anything that has to do with him, just get away from it. On this particular deal, this guy Trayvon Rogers, who's also, I guess he's now in prison, who was working with them. They faked some that they had some French exotic car dealer and they stole $5 million, saying they had an AMG1 allocation, which is pretty interesting. Um, but yeah, it's a whole long thing. Homeland Security that he had defrauded. Um, Menti learned of this from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. They'd been allegedly defrauded by a Texas man named Trayvon Rogers, a serial con artist posing as a French dealer. So one, I do know I've had conversations with Trayvon Rogers, and I knew something was off. I knew it immediately, and it just all seemed too good to be true. And every story that he said, like nothing, there was no evidence, nothing backed up. So, and everybody that I had talked to knew that this guy was bad news. And so the same exact thing with let's see, where does it say in here? But Scott Oliver, he's the other guy that's basically being looked into. They're just shitty people. They're really shitty people. And so I haven't really had that many dealings with them, but I just want to kind of put it out there that they are bad news, and anything to do with them, just stay clear of. So that's kind of the first one that I talked about. There's so many stories in the car industry where basically, people, I mean, even employees of companies, I had a guy that I worked with at Lamborghini in Beverly Hills that like took a bunch of deposits and took off out of the country, and I knew him and worked with him for a long time. So it's really crazy. I mean, when I first got into the car world, there was a guy named Vic, I guess at like Hollywood Motors in Los Angeles. It used to be a Lamborghini dealer. And he, same thing, stole a bunch of deposits and went to Mexico, and now there's actually a color called Rosso Vic that's named after him. It's like a deep red. Rosso's red, right? So they call it Rosso Vic. So it's pretty wild that this industry just continually has bad people kind of cycling through it. Um, Partially because there's a lot of money to be made, right? And so these guys, these bad people are drawn to it. Um, so anyway, so all right, so that's the first one, and then the second one is let's see, where is it? Uh, this guy, R.D. Whittington. I don't have a problem with him. We've had a lot of like overlapping clients. Um, I've heard a lot of really bad stories from clients where he keeps cars for a long time. He says that he has them sold, and then he takes the car, and then up to like a year later, he still hasn't paid the customer and has the car, and people have had to sue him and all of these things. So He's recently been arrested. He's no longer in the wires only location that, he had the famous TV show, um, the what's it called? What was the name of the show? I think it was on TNT. Let's see if it says it in here. It's a funny name. So my friend Melissa, oh, Million Dollar Wheels. There you go, Million Dollar Wheels. So Melissa Perry's on there. She's awesome. She's a great salesperson. Don't associate her with RD at all. But um, and then Chad as well. Chadwick's a pretty cool guy, but RD just kind of pulls people into their circle, and so yeah, it's interesting. So he was arrested in Beverly Hills actually at the dealership, and now his website is actually private. It's password only. So I would imagine because they're probably pulling his dealer's license as well. I guess he wasn't doing proper things with the city of Los Angeles and the state of California. So um yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have, mixed emotions. I mean, endless stories working at dealerships and just running into like fakes and frauds, and especially, when I worked at Ferrari Beverly Hills, like it was just such a ripe target for someone that was completely full of shit to try and like go to the top and like see if they can rip you off. So it is a very interesting thing, and as a salesperson, you have to be very careful, and know that that is out there and that people are kind of targeting this industry. So if you're kind of new in the industry and you're kind of working on trying to learn, how to identify these things, I mean, ask someone that's been in the industry, because your bullshit radar gets better over time, right? You start hearing certain things and you start understanding the subtleties of, like, how an allocation deal works and how attorneys work, on a certain deal, right? Can one this is actually the Scott Oliver thing. Scott Oliver was representing both sides of a deal, which is a big no-no, right? You can't do that. You have to have an attorney on each side. So stuff like that are like little subtleties that you can pick up on to realize if these people are full of shit or they're trying to, kind of get over on your client or you. So but yeah, I mean, it's you just got to be careful out there, and like hopefully you don't run into people like this, and hopefully the police catch them. And I know Trayvon Rogers got taken down by the FBI, so karma's a bitch, and it'll catch up to you. So, but I'm sure if you're in the car industry, you are gonna run into people like this. So just please be careful. Just kind of follow the rules, and like, that's why you don't shortcut anything. You don't kind of break your rules and your structure when you're setting things up, and you don't release cars without having money and those sorts of things. So yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to come on and talk about, the bad people in the car world, because it is I mean, I could talk for hours on this. I mean, maybe I'll do something on the various stories of people trying to rip me off at Ferrari Beverly Hills. But yeah, it is pretty fascinating that these people are drawn into the car world. So hopefully you guys don't run into it. And yeah, I mean, if you guys have any um like interactions with Trayvon Rogers or Scott Oliver, feel free to leave a message or a comment below, because I know a lot of people in the car industry have run into these sons of bitches. And so yeah, feel free to share your story. I'd love to hear them. And yeah, if you guys do want, maybe I will do something later where I tell a bunch of stories about the various people in the car world that have tried to get over on me. No, nobody's been successful yet, knock on wood. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Make some good stories, I'll say, at least. So anyways, yeah, leave a comment if you guys have ideas, or you want, me to talk about something. I'm always happy to talk more on one subject or the other. If you have questions or anything like that. And then yeah, always, like and subscribe. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, later, guys.